Back in ye olden times of around 2004, I began my digital art journey. My surprisingly cheap digital art journey in a world where everyone from art schools to good old Adobe seemed to just want to bleed artists dry. Hey everyone, this is MC Aquila, indie author and comic artist, and today we are going to take a journey through time. So in 2004, digital art was starting to become more and more common, and as I lurked around DeviantArt, all I wanted was to make my own digital art, to just afflict the internet with digital drawings of my own persona. So my parents kindly gifted me my first tools of the trade, a 6x8 Wacom graphite tablet, not cordless like this picture, no fancy buttons, it was just a tablet, but it was very functional. I also had Adobe Photoshop Elements 2, and in 2006 I traded that for Adobe Photoshop Elements 5, which I would use for I think it was 6 years after that. So the tablet came with some painting software I can't remember the name of. It was not very functional. I would never get the hang of it, but I did have a lot of fun with the weird brushes that it came with, and I remember messing with the brushes like in pictures like this one. I think this is from 2005. So I don't think that tablets as we know them now were much of a thing. Like, I don't think there was a screen tablet option back then, at least not like for the drawing tablet that I know of. I was just drawing on this and like using the normal computer screen. I think that most artists can adjust to using a screenless tablet like this. You just need some time and practice. Screenless tablets are usually more affordable and generally just as durable, if maybe not more durable, and like they're also very functional. Oh, and also my tablet did not have pressure sensitivity at all. So let's take a closer look at the programs that I was using. Adobe Elements is consumer-oriented, which means it doesn't have nearly as many options as programs directed at artists, but it does have more than you'd expect, like had layers, the lasso and magic wand tool, the bucket tool, the eyedropper tool, a huge variety of like excellent color adjustment options, different brush options, filters, layer style options, gradients, blur and motion effects and tools, and so on. You could also download and use other brushes from online, which I did a lot. That was a lot of fun to experiment with. With Elements 5 and my tablet, I was able to not only do like paintings, but also comics, including this massive monstrosity of a comic. It was based on the Final Fantasy VII Dirge of, Dirge of Cerberus. That's one of the most edgy names. But yeah, it was like new and cool at the time, at least a little bit. I still like this comic. It's pretty goofy. And honestly, I'm just amazed that I made this with Elements 5, but like you totally could. Everything you needed was there. Also, I made some stuff with Elements 5 that I still really don't think is bad. Like, I mean, yeah, this comic's okay, but also like this Evangelion fan art, which is marred only by that hideous watermark I slapped over it because I was paranoid about art theft. Like, no one would steal this. But yeah, this with a drawing program from 2005. 2006, close enough. This picture was done in 2011, by the way, so I was using a program that was like 5 years old or whatever at that point. So yeah, like anything is possible. So around 2012, 2013, I got two major upgrades. The first was a newer tablet. It was also Wacom graphite. It basically was the same, but it was just smaller. I don't know the exact dimensions, so I'm going to guess like 4x6. Also, it had no pressure sensitivity either. I also got Adobe Photoshop Elements 13, so like same program, but just, I jumped from version 5 to version 13. To be honest, a lot of the tools were the same. There were just more of them and they function more smoothly. So yeah, that was nice. I used Elements 13 to make some work that like I'm honestly still very proud of. I did a lot of pages of TRIFORCE of Power with it. I made illustrations that I still quite like. I also made a 21-page zine, my first zine for the start of the TRIFORCE of Power Patreon, and yeah, it was It was a little more difficult than it would have been if I was using Clip Studio, but like I still totally did it, and I didn't even know what I was doing because it was my first time doing something like that. So yeah, using elements, absolutely, it did not prevent any growth or experimentation. Like, yeah, there were options and tools I didn't have, but I didn't need them to keep progressing as an artist. So skip ahead or back or whatever, well, ahead in our timeline here to 2018. Around this time, I realized I really wanted to do comics more seriously, maybe as a career one day, and for that, I needed an upgrade. I loved Elements, and I was really comfortable with it, but as I mentioned, it did have some limits, and it really does have some limits for people who want to work on a more professional level. I still think it's like totally an option if you're just doing it for fun, as a hobbyist, or if you just don't want all the fancy stuff, if you feel like you just don't need it. But anyways, I got Clip Studio Paint. It was on sale, and I don't know if they still have sales like that. It was a really great sale. But anyways, I got it, and at first I was kind of intimidated. It had a lot more, I had so many more options than I was used to. I had no idea where to start. So the way that I tackled this was by making a comic using both Elements and Clip Studio Paint. Ghost In is a 19-page side story that I did for the TRIFORCE of Power Patreon in 2019. What I would do is I would basically do most of the lines and overall like composition and formatting in Elements, and then move it to Clip Studio Paint for filling in big areas with the bucket tool, because the bucket tool was so much better in that. But I would also do some effects there and things like that. It worked really, really well. It helped me get used to Clip Studio Paint, and I still really love how that comic turned out. I began to experiment more and more with creating art with just Clip Studio Paint, but there was one issue. I was still using the Graphire tablet that doesn't have any pressure sensitivity. So pressure sensitivity in a tablet basically means the line would be thicker or thinner or even denser based on how much pressure you apply to the tablet. So if your tablet has no sensitivity, all the lines are just 100% thick and dense all the time. So in Elements and in Clip Studio Paint to an extent, I could work around this by like playing with the opacity settings of the brush. However, it was a bit limiting in Clip Studio Paint, as a lot of the brushes are basically made to function properly only with proper pressure sensitivity. So I don't think that having a tablet with pressure sensitivity is 100% required. I think that having the full dense lines all the time can actually work really well for some styles. But for me, I wanted to try something different and be able to vary it up. So in 2020, I got a Wacom Cintiq basically through a loan because those babies be pricey. The Cintiq is the priciest thing I've gotten, I think, overall to make digital art. Now, some Cintiqs ran for like $1,000 or more. I think I went for one that was around like $600. You can usually get like a couple versions before the most modern one at a reduced price, and it still probably worked pretty well. At least mine did. So having pressure sensitivity was like a real game changer for Clip Studio Paint. I was able to use the brushes the way that they were designed to be used, and I had so much more control over lines and how they look, and not to mention just like how the brushes like work and blend together whenever you have a bunch on the same layer. I really, really love it. So in August 2022, Clip Studio Paint announced that they'd be moving to a subscription service, kind of like Adobe. But to the best of my knowledge, the Clip Studio Paint subscription service that they're planning on is cheaper than Adobe, so thank goodness. Also, I think it's only necessary if you want the updates. Like, you can keep using your version of Clip Studio, but like you just won't get any updates. And honestly, I think no one like this. For me, because I'm used to doing without like tons of options and updates, like I'm really not worried. I think I'll just keep on using my current version of Clip Studio until it just can't work on a competent computer anymore. But hopefully that'll be a while because the program still works really well. So there's this fallacy, I think, that you need like the fancy software or all the fancy tools to make art and grow as an artist, when in my opinion, like you really don't. I think a lot of artists and art programs kind of encourage this sort of focus on like getting all the fancy stuff, or even just like very weird choices that are just not money conscious, like even a little. I'll never forget that whenever I tried being an art and English double major, that lasted like one semester. It was very hard to be an art major and be a commuting student at my alma mater. My alma mater. There we go. But I remember being baffled at the art professor's attitudes towards our materials. Like, I got this gigantic sketchbook for one class, and it had just like, I don't know, 15 or 20 pages, but like, it was so pricey. And I was like, okay, I gotta make the best of this thing. I gotta get my money's worth because this was insane. But then I started using it in class, and my professor's like, don't use just like 1/4 of this ginormous page for just one sketch. Use the entire page that is as big as half of your body. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, do you want me to use what is basically like a $2 page for one sketch that I'm not even submitting as an assignment? Like, this is just a sketch for class that we're doing for practice. Like, I understand that sometimes like the upgrades and the better materials like are necessary, but like being an artist doesn't mean you have to ruin yourself, especially if you're just a hobbyist or you're just starting out or you're a poor student who's already spending a lot of money to go to college and to buy these materials, and then you're just like, throw those materials in the fire. I mean, obviously they didn't actually say that, but I mean, can I not be frugal? Is that not allowed? I don't know. Anyways, on that note, I was doing research for this video, and you want to know something really dorky? To get the fancy Photoshop art programs through like the Creative Cloud or whatever, you have to pay like $55 a month. That's like $660 a year. That's enough to buy you a Cintiq, which will probably last you like for 5 years or more. But also, you know what else you could do if you're just a hobbyist or you're just starting out or you don't want like all the fancy options and the big Creative Cloud? You could just try a free program, or you could just buy the most recent version of Photoshop Elements, which is just like $100, and that's a one-time payment, no subscription. And like, yeah, like even the 2006 version or whatever had a lot of really solid options and tools. So like, I can only imagine that the 2002 or whatever, no, not 2002, good gravy, 2022 version of Elements probably has like tons of really cool features. And you'd be paying like $100. That's less than what you would pay for 2 months, just 2 months of that bloody Creative Cloud. Like, I'm not saying that you should or have to go the more frugal route, but like, you could, you totally could, if you so desire. There are options. Please don't let your art professors or whoever tell you that you can't do without. Anyways, that's basically it. I just wanted to share this journey, and I'm sorry that there haven't been videos like at all. I know I said I would do some for Nano or whatever, but just I haven't really had any ideas for videos except for this, because I feel very passionate about not going broke to pursue art. Anyways, I will see y'all whenever another video comes out, whenever that might be. I hope y'all are having a great day, and comment down below and let me know if you agree with my concerns and complaints about digital art and the price of art, or if you think that I'm crazy. I'm sure there are a lot of really great counter arguments to things I've been complaining about. So let me know in the comments below, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye bye.